Well, it's that time of year when we recognize our selections for Person of the Year. The RoundUp panel's pick for the local representative, Houston attorney and former Harris County Republican chairman Jared Woodfill. Woodfill was the architect of the anti-hero movement and spokesman for the group Campaign for Houston, which bankrolled the bathroom safety ads that helped defeat Hero at the polls. He was also a staunch opponent of the city's ruling to recognize same-sex unions. Now, that's our topic this half hour, and we certainly want to hear what you have to say, so join us on Facebook and on Twitter for the conversation. Joining us live in the newsroom is our Fox 26 senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico, Fox 26 news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bowley. How'd you guys come up with your pick?
So this is a brand new segment that we decided we're going to do every year, is pick a local and a national person of the year. Our decision is not that we all agree that this person had the best impact or the worst impact, because some viewers are going to say Jared Woodfill, for crying out loud. But you know, Jared had a huge impact on our community, and that's our decision. You may think it's a good impact or a bad impact, but the simple fact of the matter is Jared Woodfill had the biggest impact on the city of Houston in the last year with two major campaigns, almost hijacked the mayor's race in the last election, and for that reason, Jackie Bowley, we picked Jared Woodfill, who's been a frequent contributor on the show. That had nothing to do with our decision.
Sure. The fact that the Equal Rights Ordinance was defeated by such a large margin is one of the many reasons why Jared is so prominent and why he's named as our local person of the year. I mean, the fact that he was the spokesperson for this group who opposed the ordinance, they redefined what the ordinance was. Because a lot of people, when you would say HERO or you would say the Equal Rights Ordinance, they would be like, what? And then when you would tell them the bathroom ordinance, then they were like, oh yes, I know that ordinance, I know that law, and I'm opposed to it. And that was actually Jared's doing and his group, and they actually redefined what that ordinance is. And apparently a majority of Houstonians agreed with them, at least 60%.
Their redefinition of the ordinance became really the central focus of our election.
Well, and it started before that. I mean, Jared Woodfill was not just a lawyer on this, but he was actually the plaintiff. When Jared Woodfill filed this lawsuit, if it had gone the other way, if the city had prevailed, then Jared Woodfill would personally have to pay the city's legal costs. So he took an enormous risk in making himself the plaintiff and filing the lawsuit in the first place. And then taking it all the way to the ballot, he was the chief architect of this. So he'd had a significant impact. Whether you like him or don't like him, as a political organizer, you have to give him his due. Did
Bill King ride to where he did to make it into the runoff off of that bathroom ordinance issue?
I think Bill was going to make it in the runoff regardless, because you usually, when you have multiple candidates, you will have a liberal like you do Sylvester Turner, and you'll have a more moderate like Bill King. I mean, history has shown that the last couple of races where you have multiple candidates and there is a runoff. So Bill actually was going to make the runoff regardless. But I do think that having the ordinance on the ballot did bring a large number of people. Now, the fascinating thing was there was a drop-off from the mayor's race and the ordinance. So more people did come to vote for the mayor's than the ordinance. But I do feel that a lot of people did come focused on the ordinance.
Weigh in on that. I want to go to Donnelly next.
Well, look, I mean, it was a tremendous impact. In the last competitive mayor race, 180,000 people voted. In this past election, 260,000 people voted. 80 more thousand people showed up to vote. And although there was a drop-off, it was only about 7,000 votes. So the impact of turning out almost 80,000 voters that hadn't voted in the past had a significant impact on who turned out and actually who got in the runoff.
Let me see if Donnelly wants to weigh in on this, on our Person of the Year. Donnelly?
Right, Arnetta Murray on Twitter says, Jared Woodfill, he's not my favorite, but I am glad the HERO was dismantled.
Yeah, so, that was his sole function.
Yeah.
Looks like a number of viewers agree with you, and there was one the Facebook post that came across that says, do you think your choice is controversial?
Well, absolutely, and that's actually, we expected it to be controversial when we picked it. It's not about a person who we all agree had the greatest positive impact. It doesn't have to be that. This is the person who had the biggest impact on our community. Well, and in the last year, Jared did.
And I also agree with the first viewer, because you have a lot of, the reason why HERO was defeated is because you have viewers like the first viewer who may not be a Republican, may not be a conservative, because Jared served the party for a very long time as chair. but they did disagree with the ordinance, and so he coalesced conservatives and people who normally would not vote with conservatives to vote against this.
And that's what I was about to bring up. Actually, was he got a coalition of black ministers to come in on his side of this equation, which is a really big deal for a Republican to do.
On social issues, you will see the black community and conservatives will agree on a lot of things. If it's faith-based and if it's based on principles of the Bible, you will see those two groups come together.
Well, you know, whether conservative or liberal, look, the long-term impact of that is that we've seen an openness around the country on GLBT issues. Jared Woodfill organized in a way to take us back. We elected the first openly gay mayor in the fourth largest city. No other city had done that, and part of her legacy was this ordinance. And he not only defeated it on multiple times, whether it's in the courtroom or in the ballot box, he set the movement back. And for that, whether again, you like him or don't like him, he's had a significant impact on how Houston is going to be viewed. For some people, they will say that Houston is going to be viewed as a backward town for turning this back, and others will say this is the right thing. But a single person having such an impact on an election cycle, on an issue that's on a national scale, says something about Jared Woodfill organization.
And I think the fact that he just said, we have an openly gay mayor. And not only did we elect her as mayor, we elected her as city council, city controller, and mayor. So she has been in office repeatedly, has never lost a race.
Right.
But the fact that Houstonians continue to elect her, and now because they don't like the way an ordinance is written, we're now supposed to be backwards, is just crazy.
And then we're going to have to leave it right there. But what we're talking about here is what Jared Woodfill did will affect city elections for the next 6 years, and we'll see what happens. But because of his impact in defeating that ordinance and the other things he's done, Jared Woodfill is the RoundUp's Local Person of the Year. Dominique?
Well, Chris, I just want to say that I'm not quite sure you guys made the right choice. I would have looked for fabulousness, you know, great shoes, great handbags, great hair. Therefore, Jackie Bally is my choice for Person of the Year.
How do you know Jared doesn't have that?
Oh, you're right. Let me call him and see if he's got fabulous shoes and great handbags.
Jackie had one vote when we were voting.
Was that her own vote? All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you soon with another topic.